Hello and welcome back to ERU, where today we're going to break down the biggest talking points and results from around European football. And today I've got an absolute treat for you. I'm joined by Michael McCubs. Normally we are going to do ERUs as a solo show, but today we've got the treat of Michael McCubs. He had some technical issues. He was supposed to do a solo show himself. He can't do it. That will possibly come next weekend or the weekend after. So we're doing the old traditional two-man. Welcome aboard, McCubs. How are you?
Very well, Dukes. Very well. Glad to be back.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got a bumper show lined up for you today. Some massive results going on across Europe this weekend. But we're going to kick off with our winner, who is Napoli, at the suggestion of @BiroCFC, McCubs.
Yeah, Napoli. What a weekend for them. Obviously continued their magnificent start to the season by thrashing Atalanta against the odds. Goals from Lozano, or 2 goals from Lozano, both excellent finishes. Osimhen, Politano, and a second half consolation from Sam Lammers for La Dea. The Little Donkeys have now won all 3 of the games that they've actually participated in this season, scoring 12 and conceding just once. So I guess that works out to 4 goals a game. Pretty excellent stuff from Gattuso's men early doors. The only blemish is, of course, that 3-0 loss to Juventus, which was awarded after they were ordered not to turn up to the game by a local health authority. A sporting judge then gave Juve that 3-0 win and docked Napoli a point. They're now appealing that decision. Feels like this is the kind of something that's going to be a bit of a theme in Italian football this year. We were discussing another one of these instances the other day, weren't we? Can't quite remember which team we were talking about, but it was a team in Serie A, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But back to this game. Napoli went into this with a sense of trepidation. Atalanta were top of the table, obviously, after scoring 13 goals in their opening 3 matches. Napoli hadn't beaten La Dea in 3 previous meetings as well. So everything seemed to be pointing towards an Atalanta victory. But they absolutely blitzed them in that first half, didn't they? 19 shots in total, 11 on target. Their opponents 13 and 4. And their finishing was just superb. Expected goals only had it at 1.2 to 0.6. So on the balance of play, you would have thought it was a fairly even game. But you know that first second Osimhen strike, the Politano strike, which I think was the pick of the bunch, and the Osimhen finish as well was a good 25-30 yards out, wasn't it? So yeah, really did have their shooting boots on in that 20-minute frenzy. And they worked incredibly hard to keep that hefty lead too. Despite having just 1% less possession than Atalanta, they put in 21 tackles to their opponents' 13. They won 72% of them to La Dea's 59%. So ultimately, it was the best defence who came out on top, as well as the best attack. But Dougie, how is Gasperini and Atalanta? How would they be feeling about this?
Well, he looked absolutely shell-shocked on the sidelines. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, and it was the ghost of his team being absolutely ripped apart on the pitch by Napoli. I mean, they'd only lost 1 of their previous 22 league matches, which was that 2-0 defeat to Inter on the final day of last year, but they were completely blown away here. Some of the defending, I've got to say, was absolutely tragic. Lozano was left unmarked at the back post for the first. 2 players then jumped into each other on a long ball for the second. And then there was no one closing down Matteo Politano for his goal as well, although it was an excellent finish. But from about 25 yards out, he was able to run sort of 5 yards across into a more central position, unleash into the bottom right-hand corner. What a goal. And the last time Atalanta conceded 4 or more in the league was March 2017, when they lost 7-1 away at Inter Milan. I don't actually remember that game at all, but I was having a look at it. I think Icardi scored a hat-trick. So absolutely bizarre game back then in 2017, and a bizarre game for them yesterday, really. And Gasperini might look at his sort of resources and maybe point to that as well. Matteo Cardara was out. Pierluigi Golini, their goalkeeper, is out with a long-term injury too. But that doesn't really excuse their current defensive efforts. They're currently conceding 13 shots a game, which is 2 more than they were conceding last year, and nearly 5 more than the league's best Napoli. Having said that, their expected goals against per game, despite this result yesterday, remains at 1.1 per game across last year and this year. So maybe their opponents are slightly getting a bit lucky, or maybe, you know, in this game it was just a case of a poor one-off game. Napoli just finished exceptionally well. I think it's a bit of a combination, to be honest. Key performers in this game: Giovanni Di Lorenzo continues his magnificent run at right back for Napoli. He made 6 tackles and created 3 chances. Lozano was excellent. He had a really difficult debut campaign in Serie A after his move from PSV last year. Fell out with Gattuso around January, February time. Looked like it was going to leave. He was going to leave last year. Finished the campaign really strongly, and he was excellent here as well. 2 tackles and interceptions, 2 dribbles, 1 key pass, 5 shots, 2 goals, and he's now got 4 goals in 3 Serie A matches this term. Fantastic from him. Man of the match though, Victor Osimhen. I thought he was awesome up front. His hold-up play was excellent. He's so athletic. He just completely had Christian Romero's number in the centre of the Atalanta defence. The way he linked the play, the way he held up the ball, and he took his goal really well as well. But it was a fantastic all-round display. 1 tackle, 2 aerial duels won, 2 key passes, 5 shots, and got his first Serie A goal as well after that assist. I can't remember. Was it against Genoa a couple of weeks ago? Great assist. So he's, a very strong start to life in Naples for him. Next up for Napoli, they host AZ Alkmaar this Thursday in the Europa League, while Atalanta travel to FC Midtjylland this Wednesday, looking to get their Champions League campaign off to a banger. McCubs, I don't think we really put Napoli in strong favourite category for Serie A this term, but has their opening performances changed your mind in any way?
Yeah, I mean they're certainly they're certainly very strong contenders in the race for top 4. I don't know about challenging for the title, just because I don't know. I just feel like Gattuso doesn't quite have the prestige of the other managers who are kind of in that race. Aside from Pirlo, obviously, who's completely, but he's Juve manager, so he kind of has that advantage. But I mean, yeah, their early season form has been great, and I think Lozano coming into form has been a big part of that, hasn't it? I think that was something they were really missing last term, was his presence in the attack, and the fact that Osimhen has kind of hit the ground running as well. I know this was his first goal, but like you were saying, he's been excellent in the opening weeks. That attack just seems to be really firing, doesn't it? So yeah, I think they're definitely early favourites for a top 4 finish, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and it was good to see Timur Bakayoko as well, alongside Fabian Ruiz in the centre of the park in this game as well. They've also got Zielinski, who was on the bench here. Insigne is going to come back from injury, so Gattuso's got a wealth of options. But Napoli fans, how excited are you about this start to the season? Do you think you can go all the way in Serie A, or do you agree with McCubs? Is it more like you'll take a top 4 finish this year? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to our loser.
So our loser this week comes from @JustPhilHere92 on Twitter. Thanks very much for the suggestion. And we were weighing this up, weren't we, Dougie? Which one of the El Clasico rivals we were going to put in? We decided Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, we very much could have put in either. Obviously, Real Madrid, succumbed to a shock defeat to newly promoted side Cadiz, who has started the season very well. But Barcelona failed to take advantage of that later in the evening on Saturday by losing 1-0 to Getafe thanks to a Jaime Mata penalty. Now, injuries to Ter Stegen and Jordi Alba meant that Koeman had to play Neto in goal. He had to play Serginho Dest as left back with Sergio Roberto on the right hand side. But he also made some bold decisions that didn't really come off, as McCubs will get onto later. But he started Pedri ahead of Coutinho and Ousmane Dembele instead of Ansu Fati, who have obviously started the season really well. And it's fair to say it didn't really come off. Barcelona had 73% of the ball, but they only created 7 opportunities and only got 1 on target. Messi did hit the post and Griezmann did miss a 1-on-1, but yeah, there weren't plenty of opportunities in this game. Getafe, meanwhile, got 4 of their 9 efforts on target, and XG had it at 1.7 to 0.6 in Getafe's favour, so they very much deserved this win. The Blaugrana are struggling to create opportunities, which is weird, because I remember watching that opening game against Villarreal and they tore them apart completely in that first half, but since then, they haven't created over 1.1 expected goals in any of their 3 games since. The best chances fell to Messi. He hit the post, as I said. He also stabbed wide really late on. Griezmann missed a 1-on-1. And he's yet to contribute a goal in league play this year. And it's not really surprising when you look at his stats. He's only taken 5 shots and he hasn't created a single chance yet in his 4 games. Koeman, though, I feel does have a slight right to feel slightly aggrieved about the penalty that went against them. Frankie de Jong was sort of adjudged to have, well, I suppose they'd call it a stamp, but he lightly brushed Jenny Dakonam's foot. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. After Barcelona had failed to clear the ball, it was actually more of a mistake of their entire defence failing to clear a ball, and it went to Frankie de Jong. It went to Deje on the left hand side. He sort of scraped his boot, and Deje went down pretty easily. And I think, it was slightly disappointing from his perspective. It looked very, very soft. I could see why Frankie de Jong was pretty grieved. But McCubs, for Jose Bordalas and Getafe, well, a welcome result against a big boy.
Oh, definitely. I think with that penalty as well, like, it was one of those ones where I think Frankie de Jong just got himself in the wrong position, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he was kind of playing with fire a little bit, the way that he was approaching that tackle. So it was a bit soft, but I can see why it was given for sure. But yeah, Jose Bordalas, great result for him. Obviously, Getafe promoted in 16-17, finished 8th, 5th and 8th in the last 3 seasons, won 3 of their 5 games so far this season, and I think this was their first home win at least against Barcelona since 2011. It may have been their first win outright, but from what I gathered in the commentary, it's definitely their first home win. Can't remember whether there's been an upset at the Camp Nou in the last couple of seasons or not. There may well have been, considering kind of Barcelona's topsy-turvy form in the last 18 months. But despite their great start to the season, perhaps unsurprisingly, they've only actually scored 5 goals in their 5 games, but they have also only conceded 3. Obviously, they're known for their resolute defending, grinding out 1-0 wins, as we saw here. But yeah, only Villarreal with 11 points have more than their 10 points at this early stage of the season. This is being recorded on a Sunday afternoon. I know Betis are playing tonight, so they could get 12 if they do come out on top against Sociedad. But yeah, nevertheless, a very impressive start to the season for Bordalas' men. And it follows a great summer for them as well. Obviously, a lot of teams in the La Liga holding back on their spending for obvious reasons in the window. But Bordalas was really backed in the market, obviously making that loan deal for Cucurella permanent for £9 million. Cucho Hernandez coming in on loan from Watford. He obviously shone at Mallorca last term, and the signing of Enes Unal from Villarreal for £8 million as well. And 2 of those signings have been key performers this term. Cucurella and Hernandez lead the team for shots, and are also second and third for key passes in the squad as well. So having a lot of fun on the creative end too. That's behind Watford and West Brom right back Alan Yom, who's actually playing in midfield this term. On the flip side, a very poor day creatively for Barcelona. Griezmann, Dembele and Pedri managed 1 key pass between them all game, and Messi only created 1 chance as well, which is obviously very, very poor by his standards. But the man of the match was former Barcelona boy Marc Cucurella. 6 interceptions, 1 dribble, 1 aerial duel, 1 key pass and 2 shots. Really good day for him all round. But yeah, as for Barca, they'll look to bounce back against Hungarian side Ferencváros on Tuesday. In theory, that should be a very ideal game, but I was actually writing about them for the EFD 10, which went out yesterday. On Saturday. You should all go and check that out. Ferencváros are unbeaten in 8 away games in Europe, so could be a bad omen for the Blaugrana, although I don't think they've played anyone half as good as them. But I don't know, let's see. But obviously, next weekend, it's El Clasico. So, yeah, what a way for both of these teams to go into that crunch tie. Both incredibly uninspiring performances against small clubs, both coming away with 1-0 losses. Dougie, before we go any further, have you got any early calls for El Clasico?
I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle to watch, to be totally honest. I think both sides are at their least entertaining for quite a while. I haven't really been impressed with either side going forward, at least since that Barcelona-Villarreal game that I was talking about earlier. I think it's the first time that both sides have lost going into El Clasico since 2003.
Wow.
So, yeah, neither have looked particularly good going forward. Real Madrid have injuries to contend with, as do Barcelona, so it's really about who performs better on the day, as we know. I'd probably give it to Real Madrid as an edge right now, just because they do look a little bit more solid defensively than Barcelona. Getafe, got through them numerous times in this game over that whole high line, and Neto to make some good saves, and they also missed some good opportunities. So I'm going to give it to Real Madrid at the moment, but I'm not confident with that one bit.
Yeah, fair enough. I could see it being a draw, to be fair. I could really see it being a draw. Because I think, Real Madrid, I do agree, they do look a bit better defensively, but did let in Cadiz a couple of times yesterday as well. So, yeah, I feel like, yeah, low scoring draw, maybe a 1-1 or maybe a 2-2. But anyway, let's move on to our star of the week.
Yes, as McCubs says, it's time for Star of the Week. Woo! And there could only be one man that we had to talk about. It's Zlatan Ibrahimovic, titled this video around him. This came in from New Age Purist. What a performance from the big man, McCubs.
Yes, made his mark instantly on the first Derby della Madonnina of the season. Yeah, I mean, the guy's just evergreen, isn't he? 2 first half goals, which were enough for AC Milan to beat Inter 2-1 on the night. That first one obviously came from that penalty rebound to the penalty that was saved by Handanovic. Quick thinking there. And the second came after some excellent work from Rafael Leao down the left wing. Excellent cross into him. That partnership is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this season. But nevertheless, great strikers finish from him as well. That completed an excellent night's work for the Swede. He won 9 aerial duels, completed a dribble, 2 key passes, 5 shots, and of course 2 goals. Must say though, Alexander Kolarov, for a man of his experience, the tackle for that, the foul for that first penalty was just poor from him, and ultimately I think that kind of probably cost into the points in the end, because they did have a lot of chances in the final stages. But back to the man in question, Dukes, because he's got a good record in these games, doesn't he?
Yeah, you're totally right, McCubs. The 39-year-old now has 8 Milan Derby goals. That's 6 for AC Milan and actually 2 for Inter Milan as well. And 4 goals in 180 minutes of action so far this term. He's averaging 6 shots, 1.5 key passes and 1.5 dribbles per 90 so far. He's now got 14 goals and 5 assists in 20 Serie A games since returning to the club in January. Arguably, given his age, given the state of Milan when he went in, this is arguably his most impressive stint of his career, or at least since PSG, I would argue. And it felt like AC Milan were maybe slightly lucky here, though. XG had it at 2.5 to 2.1 in Inter's favour, and Lukaku was denied a late penalty after being brought down by Donnarumma, with the referee refusing to go over and look at the VAR screen. I thought it was a penalty. He trapped Lukaku's left foot, but I could see why there was a bit of delay, a bit of confusion around it. But just go and check the screen. That's what you've been very good at in Italy over the last 18 months. Just thought it was bizarre, no consistency. At least go and check it. I thought it was a penalty nonetheless. But Zlatan and AC Milan are now top of the league, 4 wins from 4. They're 4 points ahead of Juve, 5 ahead of Inter Milan, and he just keeps on performing. I'm not the biggest fan of him and his off-the-pitch antics, but I've got nothing but respect for the player that he is and what he's done for AC Milan. I feel like he's really playing some of the best football of his career, the way he's sort of impacted that team on and off the pitch. He deserves a hell of a lot of credit, and I could see AC Milan challenging for the title this year, given the troubles of Juve and Inter Milan so far, at least. I mean, would you agree with that, McCubs? Do you think they're in the mix?
Potentially. I feel like I feel like writing off Napoli's title chances and now backing AC Milan might be a little bit out of form for me. But yeah, I think they have been probably the form team of the start of the season. Obviously, Napoli have been excellent as well, but yeah, I definitely think they'll be able to mount a title challenge for like until Christmas, maybe January, February. I feel like their squad might not be quite deep enough to challenge the likes of Inter and Atalanta once they really start to kick on, and I think they will, as we saw in this game. You know, Inter were excellent in the second half. Aside from that penalty, Hakimi came very close, didn't he? Lukaku had a couple of efforts which were very close as well. So yeah, I think I still think that squad's just a little bit too weak, but I think this is I think AC Milan, especially by their recent standards, are going to have an excellent season.
Absolutely. There'll be music to the ears of Menez and his fellow Rossoneri fans. Well done to Zlatan, well done to AC Milan on their victory. And guys, that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. I hope you enjoyed the return of 2 presenters. We're going to continue to mix it up as the season goes on. If the games deserve it, then we'll do a more in-depth look at one particular game. If they don't, it might be me and McCubs, or McCubs and Pat, or Chris, or whatever, some combination of Euro Football Daily folk that will be on your screens. But McCubs, after they've finished ERU, what should they go and do now?
They should go and watch yesterday's Football Pyramid. I can't remember who played now. Was it Pat? I think it was Pat
and Zach.
Pat and Zach. Oh, OGs, right? So yeah, go and check out that. Go and check out our scout report on Tottenham. After what I believe is a trouncing of West Ham today, unless West Ham are coming back as we speak. I'm not sure. And yeah, stay tuned for a scout report this week, which is on Pochettino. Which club should he go to next?
Oh, fascinating. That'd be great. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.